Hello, everyone. My name is Katrin, and I can't talk. I know it sounds absurd because you can hear my voice right now. Don't worry, I'll explain everything soon. With your permission, I will begin my story. To begin with, I will say a few words about myself. First of all, I'm probably the most prim and proper girl you've ever met. I don't have bad habits. For example, I don't gnaw on my nails, I don't swear, I respect adults, I listen to my parents, I read books, I play the violin, I love children, I do well in school. Believe me, this is only the smallest part of my advantages. I'm also very modest. Well, I think you've already figured that out. I'm telling you all of this so that you know I absolutely do not deserve what happened to me. I'm smart, good, kind, and... forget it. Let's just get to the point. In general, I was the most ordinary and most prim and proper girl, the favorite of teachers and the pride of my parents. And then one spring morning, I woke up and realized that I couldn't get out of bed. And it's not because I'm too lazy or didn't get enough sleep. No, I just couldn't get up. It was as if I was chained to the bed, and heavy weights were hung on my arms and legs, which made me no longer able to get off the ground. I immediately decided to call my parents for help and took a deep breath, but I didn't make a sound. No matter how much I opened my mouth and tried to say something, the only thing I managed to do was wheeze a little. I was like Ariel, from whom Ursula took her voice. I tried my best to control myself, to be calm and not panic, but I didn't do very well. I was very, very scared, and the only thing I wanted with all my heart was to regain control of my own body. I laid in bed for over an hour, waiting for my parents to wake up and finally look into my room. But that didn't happen. More precisely, yes, my parents woke up. I heard their voices and footsteps in the corridor, but they always passed my room. This wasn't surprising since it was already 9 o'clock and I should have been at school a long time ago. I tried to call them, reach for the phone, or just drop something on the floor to make some noise in my room. Finally, I succeeded. I was able to reach the alarm clock and throw it off the dresser. But I did it too late. By the time I managed to drop the alarm clock, my parents had already left for work, and I was completely alone at home. Then I realized that I had a very interesting day ahead of me. That's sarcasm, just in case. The most disgusting and pessimistic thoughts swirled in my head. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know how soon it would end, or if it would end at all. To somehow brighten up the terrible hours of my existence, I remembered poems, reflected on the meaning of life, and even managed to play chess. Mentally, of course, in your head. In general, I lay on the bed all day, without moving at all. By lunchtime, my legs and arms were numb, and my stomach was going crazy with hunger. Fortunately, I was soon able to fall asleep. Because of my intense emotional fatigue, I slept until my parents arrived. When my parents saw me, they were very scared, which wasn't surprising since I looked like a broken doll. My arms and legs were at a strange angle, and my immobility and complete silence made this picture even more frightening. At first, my shocked parents asked me stupid questions like, "How long have you been laying here?" or "What happened to you?" My only response was a strangled wheeze that meant simply call ambulance. You might think I'm all cocky, sarcastic, and proud, but I'm not. At that moment, I was really scared. I sincerely worried and dreamed that this whole nightmare would end as soon as possible. When my parents regained their ability to think, they immediately took me to the hospital. Doctors examined me until the morning, trying to find out the cause of my paralysis. Fortunately, the reason was found very quickly. As it turned out, there was a dislocation of 2 vertebrae at once and pinching several nerves in my spine. In the morning, I was sent to the best doctor, who performed a very difficult and dangerous operation. You can't imagine how happy I was when I finally felt my arms and legs. I even cried with happiness. Only now, absolutely silent. Yes, I regained control of my own body, but I still couldn't make a sound. I stayed in the hospital for a few more days. All this time, doctors not only constantly examined me, but even got into the archives, where records of the health of my already deceased relatives were kept. And here's what the doctors managed to find out. It turned out that my great-great-great-grandmother was disabled at the age of 30. She was as paralyzed as I was. The doctors gave her some very complicated diagnosis related to spinal instability or something like that. I don't know. In any case, only one thing was clear. My grandmother's illness had passed on to me. But I had one advantage, which is called modern medicine. Only thanks to it, I can again control my arms and legs. And as for speech, the doctor said it would come back to me in time. Maybe in a week or two, a month, or a year, and maybe in a few years. In general, I was told, just wait. And they advised me to learn sign language, just in case. Since then, my life has changed dramatically. No, I didn't leave my school, although my parents had an obsession with sending me to a special school for special children. I didn't give up music classes, I didn't stop reading books and being the perfect student, but now it was much more difficult for me. I could no longer read reports, express my opinions, or even participate in conversations. The people around me spoke too quickly, and while I was finishing my answer or comment, the topic of the conversation changed 10 times. And yes, I did learn sign language. Even more than that, I mastered it perfectly. And my parents did too, by the way. I communicated with my friends, teachers, and acquaintances using notes or messengers. And everything was basically fine. But no, because of my illness, sometimes I lost control of my body. And because of this, I got into trouble and just awkward situations. For example, one day when I walked into a cafe and bought a cup of coffee, I suddenly lost control of my hand. It was a second paralysis, which was enough for me to pour hot coffee on a snow-white blouse of some madam. Another incident occurred in geography class, where the teacher called me to the blackboard to show him something on the map. But before I had taken more than a few steps, my leg suddenly gave out. As a result, I not only laid flat on the floor, but also knocked down a huge globe which rolled around the classroom like a ball. These were not all of my fails. Yes, they may seem harmless and fun, but in fact, many of them could cause serious harm to my health. Imagine what would happen if my leg failed when I was, for example, going down the stairs. Because of such short-term paralysis, I had to visit the hospital regularly for several months. There, they gave me very painful injections and literally broke my back, putting my spine into its rightful place. To my great joy, the treatment gave results. After about 6 months, I got rid of the paralysis. And in addition, I got my speech back. Well, or something remotely similar to it. For the first few days, the only thing I could say was ah and oh. Then other letters, syllables, and even whole words were added. You can't imagine how happy I was. Now my voice has completely returned to me. As you can see, I was even able to tell you my story. However, there is something that really upsets me. For some unknown reason, I began to lisp very much in moments of excitement. Yes, I understand. Articulation can be put right, and I'm just about to do it. But nevertheless, you must agree that problems with speech are not a very pleasant gift of fate. Thank you for listening to my story. I will be very pleased if you write a few words of support for me in the comments. Don't forget to click on the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel. Bye!